the Tristan Law Show. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Tristan Law, some retired pro wrestler, and today, I'm your host. Well, semi-retired pro wrestler, that's me. And every wrestler, me, my friends, everybody else, we dreamed of two words that we always want to hear, especially from the WWE. You're signed. For years, WWE has treated that moment, moving up to the main roster, like the finish. You know, sometimes you get music, sometimes you get cameras, you get emotion, you get a lot of hoopla. But recently, a contract was signed during a commercial break, and it made me ask a bigger question: did WWE change the rules? Or did we just not notice when they did? So, this is not about blaming WWE. We're not going on a blame train here. I just made that word up, blame train. Not sure how much of a real word it is, but we're not going on a blame train today, no. This is not about disrespecting any wrestler. This is about understanding how WWE possibly views call-ups, contracts, and making it to the big leagues. Because don't get it wrong, once you sign to NXT, you're almost there. But once they make you sign that contract to go to SmackDown and Raw, oh, you've made it, brother. Your next step is the main event, WrestleMania, after that. So today we're going to have 4 case studies. We're going to have Jordynne Grace, Trick Williams, Oba Femi, and of course, we're going to be talking about Javon Evans today. 4 talents, 4 different paths, and every one of them tells us something about what WWE values right now. Just want to show a little bit of love to the chat. What's up, King Suavito? He says, what's up, everybody? King Suavito, Swan-Chris is back! He said, I've been away for a while. I got some catching up to do, and I haven't seen a full show of Raw and SmackDown, but let's talk about it. We got from the nosebleeds, my guy, Tyrell, if you like fake sports like football, basketball, hockey, tennis, and even curling. That is your guy that you want to. He talk about wrestling too, but he talk about the fake sports as well too. We got Stu up in the house. What's going on, Stu? And I can't forget the person that is always first so that he's never late. We're talking about Fernando. Fernando is here. Fernando says that I think that Javon Evans was disrespected by having him sign his contract doing commercial. That is something that we're going to talk about today. We're going to break that all down. I think Jess will be joining us in just a little bit. So we'll be standing by for her. But we got a poll going on. I'm sorry, Stu. I didn't mean to say poll. We have a survey. And the survey says, did WWE do right by Javon Evans? They signed Javon Evans during the middle of a commercial break. That is exactly what they did. Was it the right move? Did they do the right thing? So the 2 questions I'm only giving you today is yes, he's on Raw, or no, they didn't do the right thing by him because he needed his moment. But let's start with the easiest thing for us to understand because it's also the least emotional in what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is Jordynne Grace. That is Jordynne Grace right there. When you look at Jordynne Grace isn't just a call-up. Jordynne Grace is technically an acquisition from TNA. So they moved her from TNA, they acquired her from TNA and put her in NXT because in case you guys don't know, there's a different style of wrestling. There is the WWE style, and then there's the everybody else style. There's a TV style of wrestling, but WWE has a very unique style of wrestling, with the cameras. You got to be there for the cameras and hitting your times and everything else like that. So I think that they put Jordynne Grace in NXT so that she could learn the WWE way. Maybe it was something that they learned from a mistake with with Jade Cargill at the Flex, remember. With Jade Cargill, maybe that's something they learned, because a lot of us agree that Jade Cargill would have benefited so much more if she had went to NXT. So Jordynne Grace, she's an acquisition from TNA. She's not just a regular call-up, right? WWE didn't really need to introduce her because we knew who she was prior to her wrestling in NXT. Her credibility for Jordynne Grace, it exists well outside the system of the WWE, outside the bubble of the WWE. Jordynne Grace, she is a decorated TNA wrestler, very well decorated TNA wrestler. And when I say decorated, if there's any other word that we can use to drive that point home, that she is decorated, let me tell you, she is decorated. She was ranked number 97 on PWI 500 2020. And let me tell you why that means something. PWI 500 is traditionally just men. Just men. A few years back, I'm thinking around 2020, what they did was they incorporated women on that roster, on that list of the top 500 wrestlers in the world. And the only accolade, the only way to get in was that you had to wrestle men. She was ranked number 97 of 500. She made top 100 amongst other men in the world. Jordynne Grace, she's got 14 years of pro wrestling experience, and only one of those is in the WWE. You know what? Jordynne Grace hasn't even hit her 1 year mark yet. I think Jordynne Grace's 1 year mark comes on the 25th of this month, next week, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how to do numbers that quick in my head. It's not a math class. It's a wrestling thing to where we're talking about. Jordynne Grace, no contract ceremony, no graduation vibe. WWE assumes audience trust immediately. So here's the question that I'm asking you guys. You know that this is interactive. I love to hear from you guys, right? I am not talking at you. I'm talking with you, and we talk to each other. We have a dialogue. So here's the question. Does Jordynne even need a moment? Did she need a moment? Other than her just popping up backstage with somebody going, oh, that's Jordynne Grace. Did she need a moment? I got another one for you while you guys think about that one, right? Does Jordynne Grace even need a moment? The second one that I want to ask you is this how WWE should treat elite talents outside, that were outside the WWE going forward? For me, I don't think Jordynne Grace needed that moment. I want to hear what you guys think. I don't think Jordynne Grace needed that moment. Let me tell you why Jordynne Grace didn't need that moment. She already had her moment when she made her debut in the Royal Rumble. So what else more were they going to do for her? We got the hoopla. We saw everything with Jordynne Grace. We knew who Jordynne Grace was. If you lived in the WWE bubble and you didn't know who Jordynne Grace was, you saw her at the Royal Rumble, you go, oh, who's that? She came out there with the TNA Championship. Okay, let me go ahead and find out a little bit more about who she is. You knew who she was. She wasn't so benign to us. Let's see what everybody's saying. The messages are coming in right now, and that's why you have to watch the Tristan Law Show live. Because when you watch it live, you are a part of the conversation. Does Jordynne Grace even need a moment? That is the question that I'm asking. And here's what we got from the Nosebleeds 2025. Make sure you guys go follow that. From the Nosebleed Show. That's my boy. That is my boy, Tyrell. Tyrell, I need to text you because I didn't text you since last week to check up on you, make sure the boys is doing all right. I'm still watching your channel. Look, I look, in case y'all don't know, I don't watch fake sports like football and all the other stuff, so I don't know what's be happening, but I support my homie. I will go on there and I will turn on the his channel and just mute it and go do something else. Look. Thank you. It's about the support. So here's what he says. He says, calling up too many people at once doesn't make anyone stand out unless doing something borderline mind-blowing. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I felt two things with everybody that they're calling up. The first thing that I felt was, yes, I agree with you, Terrell. Them calling up Jordynne Grace and everybody else, it felt like they called up half of NXT. But the thing is that the ecosystem of the WWE has currently changed. It's not just NXT and then you go to the main roster, right? They're not just pulling people from the indies, and it's much bigger than that now. WWE has so much talent. They have a A-League, which is Raw and SmackDown. They got the Double A, which is NXT, right? They got the Triple A. They got the minor leagues, which is the minor leagues, which is Evolve, and then you can even throw Triple A in there however it fits. So WWE has so much talent that they have to cycle through that if you can't cut it to come up to NXT, it's not even worth the time. It's not even worth the time. They need to cycle you out to get somebody else in. WWE is getting people at NXT from the NIL program, college athletes. They're pulling people from the indies. WWE has so many people, and that's one of the things I like about the WWE, about the way that they do it, is that they invested in their own future. Instead of waiting for the next big thing to come along, they're nurturing the next big thing from day one. They're taking you from college playing football, and what they're doing is they're nurturing you to become the next, I don't want to say the next John Cena, because there's only one John Cena, to be the next big thing, not Brock Lesnar. They're plucking people from the indies and say, you know what, we like you, but we're not going to give you an NXT contract. We're going to give you a WWE ID contract. You're going to be affiliated with one of these independent pro wrestling schools. And what you're going to do is you're going to learn our way. And then if we like you, we can move you to Evolve to give you some TV time. And then we can move you to NXT. So WWE's got a lot of people that they've got to cycle through. And if you can't cut it, man, they're ready to trim the fat. Like, being not in the... If I was in NXT right now, or if I was in the WWE ID program, or if I was some kind of college athlete in the NIL program, I would feel like, yo, I need to step it up, because there's always somebody waiting for my spot. If I don't know what to do with it, there's somebody else waiting. Because we saw on NXT, they moved a lot of people to the main roster, and those are just the ones that they talked about publicly. They moved so many people to the main roster that they need to start backfilling ASAP. And you saw that people from Evolve started making their debut on the main roster. So yeah, I agree. They are calling a lot of people up so fast. You know, it doesn't feel special, but I think it's just a normal progression of how they have to do it. It's the first time they've done it. I think that by next year this time, they'll probably stagger them, because we used to get the call-ups after WrestleMania. You're like, all right, WrestleMania happened. What's happening next? But that's changed just a little bit. Thank you for your message. Let's see, got another message. Stu says that Jordynne doesn't need a moment. And make sure you guys check out Stu as well, too. Stu's another creator who loves to talk wrestling. He's here to give his view. If you're listening to the audio-only version, so I started releasing, updating the audio-only version of the podcast. This is not a podcast. Wow. This is not a podcast. This is a show. But I started releasing audio-only versions of the show because there are some people that just don't want to see my ugly face and just want to listen on their commute. Or, you know what? Maybe you've watched an episode, but you know what? Wherever you find podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever. Right here on the YouTube channel, I have made it accessible that you can go back and listen to another episode. Imagine that. That's so cool that you can listen to a podcast. At that time, it's a podcast, but you can listen back to the show audio only and hear your name get called out. Yeah. Stu says, maybe Tyrell. This is a response to his question, to his comment. He says, these calls feel different because so far they all added something to SmackDown and they haven't done anything mind-blown yet, and it's just made the huge difference. There's one thing, thank you for your comment, Stu. There is one thing that a lot of people have been saying about Triple H and his booking. They've been saying that Triple H don't like black people because Triple H ain't booking nobody black. You've got Javon Evans, Trick Williams, Oba Femi, and you know what? We're going to say that Jordynne Grace is black by relation because her husband is black. So they've brought 4 black people up to the main roster. So maybe everybody could stop complaining, because you see, my whole thing that I always said is that we never got that many black people on the main roster or black stars, because who was going to be the star, right? But now there's so many filtering through in the WWE. I think that we are going to have 2 black men main event of WrestleMania in the next 5 years. I said it. Yeah. Stu says, we got to wait to see what Javon does. He's the only call-up I'm worried about. But you know what, Stu? I'm not. I'm not worried about Javon. And the reason why I'm not worried about Javon is because of this. We've already seen him on the main roster. We've already seen him wrestle on Raw, SmackDown. He's wrestled on Saturday night's main event. He's even wrestled in AAA. That brother's been in the WWE since 2023. And it's not like... So, Stu, a lot of people watch NXT. But a lot more people watch WWE. There are some of us that actually cross over. But there's some of us that either just watch NXT and don't watch anything else, or just watch Raw and SmackDown, don't watch anything else, and there's some that watch everything. The way that they did the introductions is that we already knew who Javon was. When that music hits, he says, it's bouncy. He's already got a catchphrase. You already know who the guy is. That's compared to previous years, to where they would show up the night after WrestleMania and only the core people knew who they were. So I think that the way that they've introduced Javon Evans, Jordynne Grace, Oba Femi, Trick Williams, is that they have introduced them to us and said, hey, we just want to show you who this person is. We're not ready for them to be on Raw and SmackDown. They're an NXT talent, but this is where they are now. Yep, so thank you so much for your guys' comments. Yep. Damn, we got more messages. God, you guys got a lot to talk about today. I like that. Stu says, I agree that they have, this is from Tyrell, from the Nosebleeds. Follow his show on YouTube. He says, Stu, I agree that they have added a burst of freshness. However, I believe if you space this out a little more, instead of cramming all these debuts like a can of sardines, nobody could it helps nobody initially. I wouldn't say it's like cramming a bunch of sardines. I would say it's like cramming a bunch. It's like riding the 4 train up and down Lexington Avenue from the Bronx to Brooklyn, doing rush hour. Look, let me tell you, them trains are small, and you just have to make yourself small. And I'm a big dude, and I have to try to make it so that's crammed. But I agree with you, Terrell, in that part, because what I think the WWE is going to do is space it out now. Because instead of just letting us wait till WrestleMania, like they normally do the night after WrestleMania, I think they're going to sprinkle it out throughout the year. Let's see. We got Stu. Stu says SmackDown was so down bad. In case they shouldn't space it out, they were going 3 hours. SmackDown couldn't wait anymore. You're right. Yeah. You're right. Because SmackDown is going 3 hours. And they have to figure out another way in order for them to flesh out that last hour. You know, there's nobody says that Javon Evans can't go back to NXT and wrestle there from time to time and stuff like that. But you know what? The Royal Rumble is coming. And the thing is with the Royal Rumble, from what I understand, because of the logistics, there's not going to be any surprises. If I had to bet $1, the only dollar that I got, I'm betting that surprise is going to be Chris Jericho. It's probably a lot easier to move one person as a surprise than a bunch of people as a surprise. So what they're doing is they're giving us the surprises now, right? Because I feel like if the Royal Rumble doesn't have at least one surprise, it's going to be anticlimactic. It's going to go, oh yeah, that's the Royal Rumble. Oh, great. Who's going to go ahead and wrestle Drew McIntyre? Great. Maria's here. What's up, Maria? Thanks so much for joining us. Stu says that you think Oba goes to Raw or SmackDown. Oof. I think Cody Rhodes might have his hands a little bit busy now. And they got the tournament for the WWE Undisputed Championship for the number one contender. I don't think that they've named all the people yet, but if they were going to name somebody that was a surprise, I would love for it to be Oba Femi. Imagine a world where you'd have Drew McIntyre and Oba Femi just slapping meat in the middle of the ring.
Bing bang.
I'm talking about like, oh, you guys are nasty. Nasty. But I think that I think he'd be great on SmackDown. If he went to Raw, I can't see in my head who I can see him going against. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to WWE.com and I'm going to quickly look at the roster for Raw and see who Oba Femi could possibly, square off against if he was in Raw. So we're going to go to Raw right now. We're at Raw. And I'm not seeing anybody. Braun Breaker, yeah, that'd be nice. CM Punk, yeah, that'd be nice. But it's like there's really nobody that I can really say, yeah, I can see Oba going against, to put him in the main event picture. Because Oba Femi is in the same exact category. Oba Femi's in the same exact category as Asuka. Asuka never lost the NXT Women's Championship. She never got beat for it. She got hurt for it, if I'm not mistaken, and had to leave. Oba Femi, after NXT, I text Jess right away. Jess, did you see what Oba Femi did? And she goes, what? I didn't see it. I said, I don't want to ruin it for you. And then she goes, tell me. And then I fell asleep and forgot to text her. Oba Femi just left the belt. So I don't see him going to Raw. Let's take a quick look at the SmackDown. I can see him. You guys know Apollo Crews still work there? I was watching Main Event on YouTube, WWE Main Event, not Main Event Conversation with Shire and Ortiz, where the next episode drops Friday, live at noon. Make sure you watch that. But Apollo Crews still works here. So if I was seeing, I could say, okay, Cody. I could see Drew. I could see him answering the U.S. title championship challenge against Carmelo. I could see that. I could see Jacob Fatu against Oba. I can see Kevin Owens when he comes back, God willing, hopefully soon, against Oba. There's so many different people. Randy Orton versus Oba. Roman Reigns versus Oba. Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth right now. I'm going to tell y'all the truth right now. Because we don't lie to each other. I think Oba Femi does not go to SmackDown. I think that he goes to Raw. You know why? Because after all the names that I named, SmackDown just felt so loaded. So loaded with big top name talent. I'll even name The Miz. You got The Miz. You got Randy Orton. You got Roman Reigns. You've got Kevin Owens when he's back, right? You've got Jacob Fatu. You got Drew McIntyre. You got Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest, Carmelo Hayes. You've got a lot of that roster on SmackDown is very top heavy. But when you go over to Raw, who do you really got right now? You got Braun Breaker. You got CM Punk. Who else? There's really nobody. Gunther. Jey Uso. I don't really count Jey Uso too tough. LA Knight. It's not really that heavy. So if I had to bet where Oba's going to Raw. All right, you guys got them messages coming in. My man says that he walks around the house saying, I ain't gonna lie, that boy's bouncy. King Suavito says, here's the issue with these call-ups. All right, I feel like we're about to get serious now. He says they're bringing up new talent and they're not building storylines behind it. WWE is supposed to give us storylines that help us build up the wrestling match. You're right. WWE is so storyline driven that it only makes sense. But we got a storyline. Did you watch SmackDown? We got Mr. Whoop That Trick himself. We got the Mr. Lemon Pepper Stepper Trick Williams. He stood in the ring with Randy Orton. He slapped the mic out of Randy Orton's hand. The only issue that I have with that whole entire thing is that they let Randy Orton talk. What he should have did was just slap that microphone out of the hand of Randy Orton when Randy Orton was trying to talk. Because we know The voices in his head would start talking, and Randy Orton don't need no microphone for those voices. So we got the storyline there. We got the storyline with Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace got a little beef with, I can't remember who she got a little bit of beef with, right? So, like, they got some storylines. I think the only one who probably doesn't have a storyline is Javon Evans. Maria's here. What's up, Maria? You know, I'm going to put that as a drop. When you guys say, okay, next show, I am going to put that as a drop so that when you guys come into the show, all you want to hear is, and you guys say, what's up? That's what you want to hear. I got you for that. Terrell from the Nosebleed show says, Oba Femi needs to be immediately put into the main event scene.
Yeah!
I agree with that. Do not delay. All right, Maria's next. Let's hear what Maria needs to say. Y'all know. If y'all don't know, if it's your first time here, I'm Trista Law, semi-retired pro wrestler, host of the Trista Law Show. Maria's here, and she is super disrespectful sometimes. Maria, you know what? I'm going to call Maria Hot Take Maria from now on. Let's see what Hot Take Maria has to say, because Maria's got a hot take probably. Let's see. Maria says, WWE fans are funny. They didn't give a crap about Jericho for 6 years in AEW. Now he's the top free agent that's going to help WWE. Shout out to you, Maria. Shout out to you, Maria. Look, man. Look. I love me some Maria. Because Maria just laid out like it is. Maria ain't sitting down here pussyfooting. Say, nah, well, you know, Maria is walking through the chicken coop and she's not afraid to crack some eggs. Maria, you are right. We saw a lot of, when I say we, I'm talking about the average WWE fan, right? A lot of people saw Chris Jericho as the op. I learned that word. That's what the young kids be using, the op, the opposition. They saw Chris Jericho as the op. And I think that by Chris Jericho being in AEW, you know, a lot of people have tribalism. Oh, AEW is better than WWE. WWE should go out of business. WWE is so great. They're better than AEW. AEW should go out of business. Like, no. You don't want wrestling companies to go out of business. Why? Because if you don't remember what it was like after WCW closed, if they do not remember what it was like when WCW went out of business, bruh, sis, she's too young for you. Let that one go. Fernandez says, I want him to be on SmackDown, but him on Raw might be better for him in the long run. I agree. Fernandez says that Oba Femi's an excellent fit on Raw. Yeah, I agree. I lost the chat. Okay, Andrew says, it's Andrew Watani. Let me try. Andrew Wataheni. Andrew Wataheni 3234 says, I agree with you. I think he'd be better on SmackDown, him versus Drew for the Undisputed Championship. That is a money main event match anywhere.
Yeah!
Thank you for your comment. From the Nosebleeds, Oba versus Fatu would feed generations. Bruh. That's like going to the buffet. That match with the both of them. That match there's going to be fire. Fire. I need y'all to do me a favor. I need you guys to turn on notifications so that you guys know when the show is happening, because sometimes life just be lifing. I try to stick to Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Live, Jess is normally here Wednesday and Fridays, and I'm normally solo on Wednesdays, but I might petition Terrell from the Nosebleeds to come join on Wednesday. Terrell, don't answer now. That's for me to text you. And this Friday is going to be main event conversation, so twice a month we have main event conversations, but I don't want you guys to say, man, I missed the show. Because you know what? I love interacting with you guys just as much as you guys love interacting with me. Right? We're family here. Fernando says, Tristan, what are your thoughts on most of the future of WWE? Is Black, Trick, Javon, and Oba Femi? I think that, thank you for your question. I think that representation is everything. I feel that there is somebody that is watching this stream right now who looks just like me, that said, yo, I want to do exactly what that guy's doing. There is somebody that wants to become president of the United States because they saw Barack Obama do it. That wants to become president of the United States because they saw Kamala Harris try. There is so many people that when you turn on the TV, you just see a certain kind of person. When you see a certain kind of person, TVs, magazines, it may make you feel like you don't belong in that space. And for me, as a guy that's inclusive, and I think that everybody should be able to be in a space as long as you possess the aptitude and the talent to be there, I think that the future of WWE is not going to be black purposely. It's just going to be everybody was in the right place at the right time, if that answers your question. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Maria says, WWE needed a youth movement badly. The stories will come in time. I agree, Maria. I think that for a long time, we were looking at people that were younger, and then it switched to people that were older, because I was told when I was wrestling that if you hit 30 and you're not in the WWE, you're never going to make it. But then you got people like LA Knight. Then you got people like Jacob Fatu, people that are over 30 that are in that made it to the WWE and are doing good for themselves. I get why the WWE or any organization would want somebody younger, because there's more juice for you to squeeze. But somebody who comes into the organization at 30, who started wrestling when they were 19, they already come in there with 11 years experience. But that 11 years experience can come with some bad habits. So yeah, 100%. I think that we're definitely at a youth movement now because of the way that NXT or the WWE is looking for people. They're looking for indie talent where there's no real age there, independent pro wrestling talent, and then they're looking at the NIL. They're getting people fresh out of college. So if they can get you fresh out of college and milk you for 25 years, like John Cena. John Cena came into the WWE when he was in his 20s, and he just retired. So there is going to be another generation of a John Cena that where we see them start and we're able to watch them retire. We're going to watch them on the first day on the job, and we're going to watch them on the last day on the job. Javon Evans. You guys know how old Javon Evans is? I don't know, but I'm sitting here with all the questions of the world in front of me. Javon Evans is 21. When Javon Evans made it to the WWE, he was 18. 18. If Javon Evans works there until he's 50, he would have almost 30 years. And wrestlers only get better the older they get. And we're in a different generation of when I was watching in the Attitude Era, where wrestlers were wrestling every single day, beating up their bodies and having to do what they had to do to make the next town. Now, the schedule is lighter. The training is better. People are doing more than just lifting weights. They're not just big blocks of muscle walking around. So I think a lot of people have a lot of longevity when it comes into their careers. This turned into a whole Ask Tristan a Question episode, and I like that. I like interacting with you guys. I don't like it. I love it.
Bing bang.
Maria says that Jade versus Grace at WrestleMania. Okay, here's my only problem with that match. I don't want Jordynne Grace against Jade Cargill just for Jade Cargill to beat Jordynne Grace. No. I want it to be something meaningful. I think that Jordynne Grace, I think that Jade Cargill needs a Jordynne Grace because there's nobody for her on the main roster right now that she can spin around, that she could roll around with. What they got? Michin. They got B-Fab. Respectfully, Michin, aka Mia Yim, and B-Fab, they didn't do it for me. I know that Jordynne Grace, she's a bodybuilder. She's decorated pro wrestler outside the WWE. She's one of those people that she came to the WWE because the money was right. Because she was doing good for herself outside the WWE. I don't want to see Jordynne Grace versus Jade Cargill for the championship just for Jade Cargill just to beat the brakes off of her. No, I don't want that. Terrell says, Oba needs to go to SmackDown. Unfinished business between him and Drew.
Yeah!
I agree. King Salvita says, we're still waiting for Montez to get his spot in the title hunt. Whether it's the world title, the U.S. title, the IC title, the U.S. title. You know what? I'm going to say this right now. I believe big on speaking things into existence. I spoke my son into existence. I spoke working, doing, when people are driving to work. I said I wanted to be a morning radio host, and I got that opportunity. I speak that this is growing into something bigger because the Tristan Law Show has outgrown the channel. The channel is still going to be here. The Tristan Law Show is still going to be here, but the name of the channel is going to be different. It's going to be 830 Wrestling Network. So you're going to see a lot of rebranding everywhere else. So it's still the same old thing. It's just a different name, just a different house. But I would not be upset if Montez Ford won the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't be upset if Montez Ford was one of the final two, and because he was one of the final two and he lost, or even the final four, and he lost and said, you know what? I want to go in the Elimination Chamber. And he works to go to the Elimination Chamber and main events WrestleMania? Damn. Fernando says, Javon Evans should replace Randy Orton as the youngest world champion ever. I don't think so, not yet. One of the things that I talked about Javon, about wrestling a couple of weeks ago, is that, can't remember who it was, but there are some wrestlers that in the WWE, it was, God, who was it? Let me look real quick at the WWE roster. It was something that I was talking about. Maybe I could refresh myself real quick in who it was. There's somebody that I was talking about. I'm going to use that person to make a point. It was, Ilya Dragunov. I said that Ilya Dragunov may not be a big star because he's just a wrestler. That's it. There's nothing special about him. He's just a wrestler, a great one at that. But I feel like as a person that is watching, a fan, I don't really understand his character, what he does. Somebody might say, well, yeah, he's Russian. Great. So then what? Like one of my friends, he said about Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega's only claim to fame is that she's Puerto Rican and got cheered one time in Puerto Rico. What's her character? Now she's got a character. So what makes Javon Evans special is that, would you say that he's a spot monkey? A person that just does spots for the sake of to do spots? I would say yes, but then he came into the WWE and got refined. And then he built a character, so he's more than a person that could take bumps. I could see Javon Evans being the world champion, but just not yet. Just not yet. Nah, not yet. Meechin and B-Fab are both injured anyway. Thanks for that, Stu. Didn't even know. That sucks. Maria says that B-Fab is trash. Uh-oh. Hot take, Maria's back. Maria said that B-Fab is trash. She has no business having anything to do with Jade right now. I will tighten that up for you, Maria. And I will say that B-Fab didn't have any business being in the ring with somebody like Jade Cargill going for the championship. Nah, it just felt like a match. Honestly, to me, it just felt like a match to have a match. But we started off talking about Jordynne Grace. I just want to thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for your comments. Love the interaction. Love hearing from you guys. I love giving you guys a place to come and view your opinions. Jordynne Grace, she didn't need the WWE to tell us that she made it. Because she showed up already there. But let's talk about somebody who WWE did build, who didn't really get too much of a celebration in himself. I'm talking about Mr. Lemon Pepper Stepper himself, Mr. Whoop That Trick Williams. See, Tricks, if you ask me, Trick Williams didn't get a big fanfare that he was coming over to the main roster either. But Trick Williams' call-up, in my mind, it happened months ago. You know when Trick Williams got called up in my mind? When he became the 62nd TNA World Champion. He became bigger than NXT when he became the 62nd TNA World Champion, said, you know what, it's time for this guy to go. You guys want to know a fun fact? 10 champions ago, 10 TNA champions ago, who was the world champion? You don't know? It was Kenny Omega. He was the 52nd world champion while he's with AEW. So the 52nd champion was an AEW wrestler, and the 62nd champion is a WWE wrestler. That's a fun fact for you right there. That's your trivia. I really need to put that drop in. I also want to note that you guys want more trivia? Trick Williams, he's not only the 62nd TNA champion, he is the 4th black TNA world champion. It's Bobby Lashley, Moose, Rich Swann, and Trick Williams. But when you're looking at Trick Williams, his call-up is about placement. It's not about legitimacy. That brother's almost got 6 years of experience in the WWE walking around in lemon pepper steppers. Crowd reactions when it comes to Trick Williams, people are already chatting, whoop that trick. Catchphrases are already over the lemon pepper steppers. My only thing that I'm worried about Trick Williams, the risk is cooling him off, not proving him. And I need to see what happens after this whole Randy Orton thing. I need to see what happens, because when Trick Williams came out there on SmackDown last week, the first thing I said to myself is, that boy right there, a star. He a star. Trick Williams got big things coming for him in the WWE. And I don't want him to take the gas pedal off of Trick Williams. Trick Williams could be the next big thing. Here's the question I want to ask you guys. You know I love questions. The last time I asked a question, we went into a 20-minute question tirade. Is Trick Williams more fragile than he looks? I think that while you guys come up with your answer, is Trick Williams more fragile than he looks? Let me answer that for y'all. And don't be trying to steal my answer. I think Trick Williams right now, I don't think that he is as established as Oba Femi. When Oba Femi walks into the room, you go, you know what? Let me go sit on the other side. When Trick Williams comes into the room, Trick Williams sounds more like a loudmouth, a guy that just want to talk. So I think that if he's all mouth and no action, I think that Trick Williams could definitely get broken. I want Trick Williams, because remember, I'm not talking about him being in NXT. Yeah, you guys could say, well, you know, in NXT, he did this, he did that. Yeah, that's all great.
Yeah!
But they took him, Trick Williams, Jade Cargill, Oba Femi, Javon Evans. They took them out to the little fishbowl, where those 4 people were the biggest fishes in the fishbowl, and moved them into a bigger aquarium where fish are bigger than them. I don't want Trick Williams to get eaten alive. I really don't. Trick Williams didn't need a contract moment, because the audience, we already signed him. He was already signed to Raw, SmackDown. Trick Williams is already destined in our minds to main event WrestleMania. He is. Just some people you just look at, you go, that guy right there, something special about him. I didn't need a moment for him. And then this is what brings this to a moment. This is the moment that had me think about this, the moment that had me think about the whole conversation as a whole. Javon Evans. Now, let me make sure when I'm talking about Javon Evans, let me make sure I set the table for you guys. I'm not raging. I'm not being animated. I'm not being passionate. We're going to break this down just a little bit, and we're going to talk about a little bit what happened. What actually happened, he had a contract signing. It occurred during a commercial break, and if you're not watching on a VPN or internationally, you didn't see it. There's no big presentation for him. Here is the real question. Not was it disrespectful, but what does it say? Let's go to the chat. You guys got messages. King Suavito says, Trick Willie should have been on the main roster the moment Carmelo was called up to the main roster. Yep. Let's rewind it back a couple of years ago in NXT when John Cena talked to him, Trick, about being next. Yeah. Maria, Hot Take Maria says that Trick needs to be sink or swim. Yeah, I think so. I think that Trick Williams is going to be sink or swim, but as long as his actions in the ring, he could get legitimate wins on legitimate people and look great and not just get beat, I think that he's going to be that guy. Looking at the interpretations, right? There's two interpretations. WWE's perspective. And what I'm saying to you here, we're talking about Javon Evans just getting it doing the commercial. Javon Evans is a long-term project. He got signed with the WWE when he was 18. 18 years of age. They've invested in Javon Evans. They've sent him to Mexico to wrestle for AAA. They sent him to wrestle on Saturday Night's Main Event, where random people could just turn on the TV or go to Peacock and go, oh, who's that guy? He's bouncy. I know that the reps matter much more than the reveal. TV time is precious. And if they're going to waste the TV time, it would have to be something where they were furthering a storyline or trying to start the storyline. There's no storyline with Javon Evans. He just showed up at the contract as a sign here. Yay, thanks for coming. You made it. Yay. But TV time is precious. Why waste the TV time putting Javon Evans on there just for them to sign the contract and send him to the back? If nobody's not going to jump him, if he's not making a confrontation or face-to-face with nobody, save the TV time. Save it for when it really matters. You're trying to tell me that in 2026, that Javon Evans signed a contract to Monday Night Raw and you didn't know? Whether you've seen it live or not, you already knew. Because most of us are on the internet. Most of us that if you didn't know, you found out today, because if you didn't know, now you know. But here's the emotional disconnect, though. This is where the empathy comes in. Fans care more about these moments. Wrestlers we remember these moments forever. And wrestling is built on symbolism. In WWE, it's all about creating moments. Now imagine, you're going to be able to say in 25 years that Javon Evans was the guy who they signed at Monday Night Raw doing a commercial break, and now he's doing a retirement tour just like John Cena? Let me tell you something. In 25 years, ain't nobody remembering that. In 25 years, there's not one person that's going to say, well, I remember when Javon Evans got signed on Monday Night Raw doing a commercial break, and they disrespected him. Javon Evans has so much left as a body of work of what he can do, what is left for him to do, that one little moment, that fragment of time, it's not even going to matter. Javon Evans, he didn't get a moment. He got an opportunity. And WWE clearly believes that's enough. Fernando says that Javon Evans is the LeBron James coming out of high school of the WWE. I could see that. Javon Evans came out of high school, 18 years old, still wrestling on the indies, making a name for himself. And he's able, at 21 years old, to provide a life for his family. There's so much upside with LeBron James. And the things that a lot of you guys didn't know when he was wrestling around as Jay Malachi on the indies. So now that Jay Malachi, who is now Javon Evans, is wrestling in the WWE, you didn't get the opportunity to watch him when he was in high school. Most of us only know Javon Evans from what we saw in NXT. He's got a body of work, and the body of work is coming. Don't give up on Javon Evans yet. One that I want to take a look at. One person I always want to talk about, and that brother is scary to me, right? He is the outlier. He is the one who didn't wait to be called. I'm talking about Mr. Brickstick himself, Oba Femi. You see, Oba Femi, he leaves the NXT ring and the title in the ring. No announcement, no explanation. He didn't need to say anything. I think the only thing, though, is that they were kind of teasing him on Raw and SmackDown weeks before. But what does that actually represent with Oba Femi leaving the championship in the ring? No announcement, no explanation. What it actually represents, it's not quitting. It's not rebelling. It's outgrowing the container. You see, he contrasts sharply with Javon Evans. And Javon is a part of the process of, working your way up from the indies and going there and becoming the next big star. Somebody like Oba Femi was signed to WWE through a nil contract. They brought him from college. Oba Femi looks larger than life. Oba Femi looks like an action figure. Oba Femi, it was only a matter of time before that brother, and let me tell you something, that brother there, why he does be out there dancing? Look, I think it's crazy. I think it's psychotic that he's dancing to the ring. The only thing that I don't want with Oba Femi is for Oba Femi to be the bad guy, because why does the black guy have to always be the heel? Maria says that you didn't have a transient talent like Javon Evans signing doing commercial. You don't have a transient talent like Javon Evans signing doing commercial. I could see that, but Maria, in the grand scheme of everything, seeing what the body of work that Javon Evans has done, we already knew who he was. And there was no real storyline. There was no real storyline when it comes to bringing him there. Stu says that he feels that Oba is the next Brock Lesnar. Maria says that Oba is the second coming of Roman Reigns. Man, I just hope they don't have him eat dog food. If they have Oba Femi eating dog food, I want all my money back. All of it. When you're looking at both Javon Evans and Oba Femi, the thing that you gotta look at is this confidence or impatience. It's a little bit of both, right? Because we all want to go directly from the first day in wrestling school to WrestleMania. We all do. But you have to learn to humble yourself a little bit. But when you look at the confidence in the ring with Javon Evans, who the people that he's been wrestling with, Oba Femi's only stood in the ring with who? Drew and John Cena, right? John Cena, right? No, Cody Rhodes. But do you reward it or do you punish it? I think that you have to reward it. Both men have shown in their own separate ways that they need to move to the next level. If Javon Evans isn't trusting the ladder, Oba Femi is the one that's saying he don't need it. So what happens when you put everybody together? I think there's 4 archetypes. There's Jordynne Grace. She's the asset acquisition from TNA. Trick Williams, he's the brand transfer, right? He is I would say he's the second man who's going to be the first man, right? Javon Evans is the long-term investment. And Oba Femi is the system disruption. Call-ups are no longer ceremonies. They're deployments. They've already introduced us to them already. We know who they are. They're not a secret. So I think we don't need the ceremony. But I'm going to ask you guys this, and we're running out of time. So let me know in the comments. Is WWE wrong or just modern? Here's the poll, right? I asked you guys a poll question the entire time. The poll question is, wow, did WWE do right by Javon Evans? 38% of you said no, he needed his moment, while 62% says, yes, he's on Raw. If I had to put my vote in there, I would say that yeah, he's on Raw. He's on Raw. King Suavito says that Oba Femi has to make it known that he's running this company and he's doing it his way. Look, Suavito. This guy right here, Oba Femi, who's up on the screen, ain't nobody taking nothing from him that he don't want to give, that he doesn't want to give. And I'm talking about storyline wise. I'm not talking about in real life. In real life, we're all professionals and we work together in the ring. But storyline wise, Oba Femi is a force to be reckoned with. Oba Femi reminds me of a Brock Lesnar, and I hate putting people in categories that were shaped by other people. Oba Femi is Brock Lesnar-esque. And I'm only saying Brock Lesnar because it's the best person that I can use to describe this. Oba Femi is like Brock Lesnar because when you see Brock Lesnar in the ring with somebody else, you say to yourself, you know what? That person might be in danger. When you see Oba Femi in the ring, and you see him in the ring with somebody like Randy Orton or Roman Reigns, you're going to go, wait a minute, somebody hold my Tristan Law water bottle that you can get. Just follow the link in the description. Oba Femi's going to be that guy. He's going to be that guy. But WWE, they haven't stopped. Okay, the last match, Fernandez says that Oba Femi versus Braun Breaker is Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg 2.0. I hate that. That feels so icky. That feels so icky. WWE hasn't stopped caring about talent. I think what they've done is that they've stopped romanticizing the process. We've already know who they are. It's not a secret. We've already been romanticized with the idea of who the character is. It's a part of the process. It's what we do. We know who they are. They're no secrets. They're no strangers to us. And what this is that it's not a cultural shift. It's a cultural shift, not a creative failure. WWE didn't take the magic out of call-ups. They just decided that the magic isn't the work. It's not the point anymore. The magic is the work. Some wrestlers, a lot of us, we all want the moment. Some people, they just want the reps. And some don't want the system at all, which is why they leave the WWE. The question isn't whether WWE is right or wrong. It's whether we're ready to accept what making it looks like now. Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. Another episode of the Tristan Law Show. I want to thank everybody that left a message. Fernando, Maria, King Suavito, Stu, Fernando, Tyrell from the Nosebleeds show. I'll be back on Wednesday with another episode of the Tristan Law Show. We're going to have main event conversations on Friday with Bulldog Pittman. I'm Tristan Law. This is the Tristan Law Show. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.